All right, everybody. Welcome to the Martin Eiden team third Thursday thoughts. As a quick reminder, the third Thursday of every month from 7 to 7:30, we are going to tell you what is going on with Manhattan and Brooklyn real estate. And we have our illustrious panel today. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce Alex Magoob, aka Super Broker. Say hi to the crowd, Alex.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Martin.
No problem. At number two, I would like to introduce Adila Curry, who is our Director of New Business Development. She's out there on the streets telling us what's going on. How's it going, Adila?
Pretty good. Hi, everybody.
Hello. And then, I won't say last but not least, because we'll do us hi for Jared. Next on the list, we have Ramses Haji, aka the Wonder Kid. Ramses, how's it going there on the 40th floor on 56th Street?
It's going pretty well. Hey, guys. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks. And last and definitely not least is Jared Salinas-Dick, our Director of Operations and Marketing in LA. I'm glad you're joining us. To be honest, Jared, it was warmer this morning in New York than LA, if you can believe it.
What? Unacceptable.
Yep, it was 50. It was 50 in New York this morning and 42 in LA, according to my iPhone. So,
wow.
Wish you were here, man.
Yeah, wish I was too.
So, okay. Fair enough. All right, so we're gonna do kind of a rapid fire roundtable of hot topics that have come up in the last month here to see what's going on with the market. So first and foremost, there was an article that came out last week in Bloomberg, and it said, was the bottom of the market for Manhattan and Brooklyn in November? Yes or no? And why or why not? Alex Magoob, what do you have to say about it?
I'm going to say absolutely yes. The bottom was November. You said why too, right?
Yeah, give us an answer and the reason behind it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. So basically what started happening in I want to say April, coinciding with the Fed raising interest rates, mortgage rates started moving up slowly and then faster and faster, and they essentially doubled. Earlier last year, they were hovering around 3%. By the end of last year, around November, they were getting close to 7%. So whenever the interest rates go up, it impacts buyers' purchasing power. It changed the equation. If they were looking at $1 million properties, all of a sudden now they were looking at properties for something like $850, and that's on the backdrop of the stock market going down, on the backdrop of all this inflation talk. People were nervous, uneasy. And then also there's a war going on in Ukraine and really a pretty intense political environment in November, which dragged on with a couple of special elections. So a lot of people just hitting pause on making any major decisions. And then right after that, in December, we saw things tick up.
Right. Very good, Alex. Very good. Adila, what have you seen? I know you go to a lot of national conferences and events. What is your take on it? Was November the bottom of the market, and what are things looking like now?
Well, that's a great question, Martin. I think everybody is looking forward to a stabilized the market being pretty stable throughout the year, even in short-term vacation rentals across the country. I've noticed in some markets, first-time home buyers, that market has slowed down a little bit. Another thing I've noticed is sellers are still kind of in the honeymoon phase, and they're expecting to get the same price that they had 8 to 10 months ago. So I think as we move throughout the year and they start to realize those prices need to be adjusted with the market, I think, it'll come down and we will continue to stabilize.
Fair enough. And Ramses, can you give us a little bit of insight? I know you're working with a lot of buyers here on the team. Were buyers out there looking and signing contracts in November, or are they out there looking and signing contracts now in January, February?
Well, in November was kind of slow, like we mentioned, but now all of a sudden, all my buyers are reaching back out and everybody's looking. I currently have 4 buyers looking out there, and they were looking before, so now they're like, hey, I'm ready to look again, let's start looking. So this weekend I have 2 buyers I'm taking out, and we have this buyer that we had a bidding war on 11 people bidding for a property in Brooklyn, which it was crazy. So everybody's back and wanting to buy, but there is not really too much inventory. So I think the sellers that they are in the honeymoon phase, I think they should really start thinking about listing it and getting properties out there, because there are buyers they are looking.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. So yeah, I would say that the last mini bottom that we had going on was kind of in November, and we've seen the surge happen going in from starting in December, and really we saw a pickup in January and February. Things are moving, which I think is really great. So the next topic that I had here was inventory in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and I just wanted to give a little insight. So nationwide, I have to get this ring light. I'm kind of shadowy here. Anyhow, I'm using my iPhone light. It's very exciting. So the next topic here is inventory. I was in LA. Jared and I tried to connect up, but social butterfly Jared just could not have breakfast with me for some reason. Actually, it was mutual. Anyhow, so I was at part of with the Compass Sports and Entertainment division. Everybody was from around the country. Almost every other major market, secondary market, and tertiary market in the United States, inventory was a huge problem. They're already projecting their year is going to be less than last year, purely just based on inventory. What's your take on inventory now, Adil, as you're looking for new business, and what's going on? What's your take on the Manhattan, Brooklyn inventory situation?
That's for me, Martin, right?
Yes.
Inventory is still low. I've noticed that some sellers, they want buyers. They want buyers. They have their home on the market. Again, them coming to the realization that this isn't the market 8 to 10 months ago, and making those adjustments in price. Some sellers are choosing to rent after their property has been on the market for a while. And I think that some sellers, the ones that are really motivated, I think they are willing to make those adjustments, or they're renting and leasing for a year, 2 years until they're ready to adjust the price for it to sell.
Fair enough. So there's a real example. So for sellers that are not getting the price that they wanted, and again, I think we all agree here, this is not 2021. And so instead of selling, they're renting, therefore that property is no longer part of the inventory. It's off the market. Alex, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so we are not these other markets. New York City is a really special market. We don't have these extra listings, this extra inventory. What we have is a super tight market for really high quality homes that are priced well. So there are a good amount of apartments on the market that have problems. They're mispriced. They need work. Those are not the properties people are snapping up. People are snapping up properties that look great, that are presented well, and priced perfectly. I was talking to an agent earlier today. They brought a listing to market that they thought was very fairly priced. But after 2 to 3 months, they got no offers. And to Adila's point, what they ended up doing was renting it instead. And the price they got most recently was a little bit higher than last year. So already in a year's time, the rental market has gone up, whereas the sales market essentially has gone kind of sideways. But I think we're protected from any major drops down because there's just not enough supply for the people that want to buy.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then, so Ramses, can you give us a little bit of an insight? You just talked about this townhouse in Ridgewood where there was 11 bids and you represented the buyer that had the winning bid. Why were 11 people scampering after this Ridgewood townhouse that went for over $1 million? It's a record for the neighborhood. A 1,300 square foot house with the parking space for a garage in the bottom. What's your take on that, Ramses?
Well, to begin with, the strategy of the listing agent was amazing, which is listed just under $1 million, even though the house is worth more. By doing that, they attracted so many people to come and see it because they are like, oh, this property sounds amazing. Let's go and see it. Now, if they had listed it for over $1 million, maybe they would not get that much of a traffic. By listing it with that strategy, they really attracted so many people. And by having so many people at the open house, it just creates an urgency that this home is the hottest home on the market right now, and everybody has to have it. And probably they got a higher number that they would have gotten if they had listed it at a higher number by doing this strategy, because they create the urgency.
Fair enough.
Highest and best is due next week. Now you have 7 days to come up with your best number. And it's just a great strategy, in my opinion. They did not list it ambitious, where people would probably not even look at it. And then it's going to stay on the market for God knows how long. And why is not selling? Because it wasn't priced correctly, but in this case was priced perfectly, and it made a difference.
Oh, that's great, Ramsey. That's a very good insight. I had dinner last night with a great broker out in Greenwich, Connecticut, Jack Sarson, and he said supply in Greenwich is catastrophic in terms of how low it is. So what's interesting is that supply is tight here in Manhattan and Brooklyn, but there is still stuff for you buyers out there to find stuff. It may be a little bit of digging. It's not going to be, a whole platter of properties, so to speak, but there is quality product for you out to buy right now. Whereas in other markets, there is just nothing out there. And the reason why nothing is out there is everybody bought everything the last 2 years, right? What's great about, and I'm plugging New York here. What's great about being in the capital of the world, that's what I said, capital of the world, New York City, is that people are moving in and out, up and down all the time. So there's always a fair amount of supply here. And I really think we're at a good balance. Sellers, it's kind of on a side thing. And I was talking to a seller today and I said, hands down, the best time to sell would have been 2021. That was a winner chicken dinner year for everybody. But the second best time to sell is right now. And it's great for the next 6 months or so, I think, going on with this until the spring season. Let me go to the next question here, and which is the rental snapshot, right? The rental market we talked about a little bit. All of us are exposed on it a little bit. Alex, you want to talk to us about the rental market? And I'm going to grab my son here. He's just coming in the house. Go ahead,
of course,
Alex.
Yeah, so to everything that we've been discussing, if there's some people that aren't buying for whatever reasons, they still want to live in New York, and they're choosing to rent. So the handful of rentals that I've been working on over the past few months have rented very quickly for great rental prices. And I just literally saw an article talking about a new report on rental prices, and we are at record highs for Manhattan and Brooklyn. And again, depends on how you tease it out. Is it the median rent? Is it the mean rent? However you want to parse it, we are at a high. So if you are thinking about buying, I don't think the rental market is going to get better. Okay, it's going to keep going up because the demand is there.
I agree. And Ramses, you just rented out an entire building. That is correct. An entire building in Nolita, which is one of the hottest neighborhoods here in Manhattan. I think you rented out the whole building within 30, 45 days.
It
Tell
was
us a little
under
bit about who's coming in and what's happening. Go ahead.
it was under a month that it took me to rent 9 units. It was a mix between 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4 bedrooms. But before I get into it, I just want to point out what Alex said, that we are at the highest of the rents. And I've been reading articles, and since 2021, the rents are 21% higher than what they used to be. And yeah, of course, in New York, we have cycles. We have the winter cycle, we have the summer cycle, which last summer was the highest, craziest, 30-40% higher than the previous year. Now, because we are in January, we are kind of like off peak. January, February, we are off peak. So the rents are lower, but the records indicate they are 17.2% higher than last year, this time, January, February. And to be honest, I expect this summer to be as crazy as last summer. And yeah, to that point, like the Mulberry building, we had listed in the summer. It took me 1 week to lease 9 apartments. It was crazy. Right. People were just coming in, applying at super highest numbers. Now we listed it a little bit lower because of the winter cycle, which is it's normal for New York. But the summer will be crazy again, in my opinion.
That sounds great, Ramses. Thank you. So a couple of hot tips on there, right? If you're a renter, rent now. The sooner you rent, the better, because we've seen a price difference between winter and summer as high as 10% price difference on renting, averaging about 5-7%. So if you are going to rent and want to upgrade or trade out, now is the time to do it. The other thing that I think is really amazing or very interesting is that, yes, interest rates are higher. They're not a disastrous high level, but the rents are so high now. For a lot of people, it's actually cheaper to buy than to rent. So if you have the down payment, or a lot of times families, say, how are we going to redeploy capital? Let's spread it across multiple members. Now would be a great time, perhaps, to do that. Thank you on that. And Adila, tell us a little bit about, with those, you're going after, director of new business development, and you're talking to owners, and you're saying, I'm not getting my price now, but I'm going to rent. How are they happy with the rents that they are getting, and what's going on with that?
I've not heard specifics on what they're getting for the rents when they are choosing to rent rather than sell. What I've noticed is that they're okay with renting, and I think part of that is because the number of days on market has increased. So because of that, they're realizing, in combination with the fact that they can't get the price that they had in 2021, and it's sitting on the market, I would just rather rent. So the days on market is a little bit more this year, but it's still relatively low. People are opting to rent. I've spoken with people that are like, it's under a 1-year lease, but we still want to sell in a year. I've spoken with sellers that are anticipating putting the property back on the market as it gets closer to their lease end. So sellers want to sell. They are looking for buyers. And I think if buyers can come with a savvy agent and negotiate a fair price, I think they can get into something. Inventory is still low. So, I think, that definitely plays a factor. So that's my feedback on that.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for that, Adila. And Jared, I'm gonna ask you a question. Jared, again, is usually our behind the scenes guy, but what's great about Jared is he's also the civilian of the group, if you will. Anecdotally, what are your friends saying about buying or renting, or how are they feeling about the housing market in LA, which is also a premier world city?
Yeah, I would say that, there's definitely the fear that, you're not going to get the best deal, that the best deals are behind us, and, the interest rates are too high. And, those kinds of things are kind of circling with, at least amongst the people I'm talking with. But since rates are going down and inventory is coming back, I mean, I'm usually the one that kind of tells them that because of these roundtables and because of I'm in, like talking to you guys.
Because you're in the biz.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I kind of have, a little bit more insight and can tell them that, the historical facts and like how good of a time right now is versus maybe, 2 months to 10 months to a year from now, like you might miss out on good deals. So, but yeah, my friend, it's more like, how much can they get down? How much down payment can they really muster at the moment? Like if they can do it, they're
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. And that's usually the biggest inhibitor for first time buyers is the down payment here. In New York, the standard is 20%, which is hefty. Rest of the country, it's 3% down. But this also perhaps is the time. And I do work with we all do work with a lot of trust and estate attorneys. It sometimes does make sense to redeploy capital now within the family, as opposed to waiting for, candidly waiting for somebody to die and then figure out what to do with the money. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of this, again, I was talking to a few agents earlier today, and they were telling me stories about buyers, parents buying apartments for their kids and then renting them back to the kid, so the kid doesn't get a free ride. They still have to pay.
Right.
But to your point, it's about deploying capital. Why waste the money when they can build equity and maybe down the road give the kid the free apartment,
Right. No, it's I don't want to get into family finances, and every family is different. But that is a really good strategy. And it's, and again, we're not financial planners. We're not trying to be financial planners, but everybody knows the phrase of diversify the portfolio. And people that, put their stuff solely in high tech stocks, they're probably not too happy right now. So on that, now there was one. The next topic that I have here is it headwinds or a storm on the horizon, or is it a puff of smoke? And that topic is, it came out this morning that Wall Street and the Federal Reserve is not aware on how high interest rates are going to come up. Is the inflation thing behind us? Is this the moment now, or what's going on? Kind of what's your sense and pulse of what's happening, Alex?
Yeah, this is such a great question and really on everyone's mind. The future of real estate is dependent on mortgage rates. And there is and literally we saw that in the marketplace, that in December, as rates ticked down, all of a sudden there were new buyers coming in, offers, bidding wars. But as we've seen rates start to tick back up, it does feel like things have slowed down just a little bit. Now, I follow the stock market, I invest, I watch a lot of news, read a lot of financial news, and I've seen the stock market kind of react like the Fed's going to be cutting later this year, bull market full on. The inflation numbers that came out today imply that inflation isn't coming down as fast as Wall Street would like, as fast as we would like. So although mortgage rates are higher now than they were a year ago, the numbers that you're seeing today may be better than what you'll see in 6 to 9 months. So these are great rates that we're seeing right now. And if you are in the market to buy, I don't think you delay this. You look at what's out there, you put bids on your favorites, and you buy the best one.
Yep, I think that's really a really good setup. Adila, what are you saying? You're in a lot of entrepreneurial groups and a lot of peer groups. What's the chatter that you're hearing?
Regarding
what is inflation? Is it behind us? Is it moving forward? Is everybody doing the high five too fast? Is inflation really under control or not? And are we expecting higher interest rates in the future?
Well, I think people are still kind of a little bit gun shy because of the volatility. You know, the interest rates really are a factor, and I think it's good for investors. You know, I think because of the demand having slowed down, I think investors are looking forward to that. In regards to inflation, and investors, I think they're looking to place capital quickly, you know, and they're looking for good deals, which has been challenging. I know people like, you know, I've been talking to private equity funds. Instead of people calling them, they're calling to find, you know, deals because they have to place capital. So I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I think investors kind of know what's happening. I think the average buyer, they're still kind of a little bit gun shy, and that has caused a decrease in demand. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's very great. Ramses, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Overall, I mean, the same thing as Alex, but I had a couple of clients that they were in tech, and they were looking to buy, but then because of what's happening, obviously the stocks went down. So now all of a sudden they don't have the money to deploy from their stock market to buy. So that kind of hurt them. And the interest rate as well went up. But yeah, to the point of Alex, I agree with him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I would say we're kind of in the yellow light right now, right? This could be the moment where we're in a perfect moment for rates are the lowest it's been for a while. So sellers, if you want to sell in the next 18 to 24 months, now is probably the time. And buyers, it's the old adage, when is the best time to buy? 5 years ago. So buy now, and 5 years from now, you can make that comment on that. Now we're going to move on to one of my favorite parts of the meeting, is a quick roundtable of properties. And these are not our listings. These are listings that we have seen around town and what we like and why we like it. Alex, you wanna start off?
Yeah. Can I share screen? How does this work?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Desktop, just make sure I'm showing something appropriate. You never know. Okay, good. You can see that I'm showing a listing on Street Easy.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I want to talk about this. This actually just came on today. It's an amazing apartment. Number one, it's a condo. If you know anything about New York City real estate, 2/3 of the supply are co-ops. They limit renting, and they can deny you and reject buyers. So they tend to be a little bit more complicated. Condos, you can buy them, move into them, rent them out, really easy breezy. And this listing, it's this nice 2-bed, 1-bath with this incredible outdoor. Sorry, I'm moving kind of a little bit fast here, but I want to show you this terrace. So you get this gigantic terrace right off your living space, and you get what is arguably a very well-finished home, and you're in Bed-Stuy off of Nostrand, which, if I can show you on a map, Nostrand is a busy thoroughfare. Where is this map? I don't know Street Easy as well as I know Compass.com, but you can see here that this is listed right off of the AC train, and you're right off the G train. So I think having accessibility, having options, you're right in the middle of Bed-Stuy, but you're not far away from Clinton Hill. So location is great, price is great, finish is great, size is great. This could work for many different types of configurations. And I've actually been to this building before, and I've seen other similar listings, but never with a terrace. So sorry if I love this apartment too much, but I want to sell it.
No, I think that looks great, Alex, and thanks for sharing that. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. Ramses, do you have something lined up for us to see? No? Yes, you're on mute, Ramses. If not, I've got mine, and you can
You can share.
so All right, so I'm gonna do a share screen on mine. The host can only, oh, you have to do the share. Jared, I should have stayed a co-host.
Oh, you know what? I just made you co-host. There you go.
All right, now I can share. It's very exciting. Okay, screen, start broadcast, and I'm on. And let me go here. I'm using compass.com. You guys can see this, correct?
Yes. Beautiful.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about 533 Pacific Street. This is a great new development right in Boerum Hill at the crossroads. This is Brooklyn, everybody. This is the crossroads of Boerum Hill, downtown Brooklyn, Park Slope, and Greenpoint, depending upon how you want to call it, right? What's great about this is that this building only has 32 or 60 units. It's not a mega building, and it was an old post office. So you come in, you have a beautiful courtyard. The finishes here are amazing. Here's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the mid twos, so like 265. And what's great about this, look at that beautiful floor plan, right? You have the primary suite off on the side, separate from the other ones. You have a huge great room. You have a balcony coming out. There's a number of floor plans. This is what the rendering looks like on Atlantic Avenue. If you notice here on the upper floors, we use the fancy word loggia for basically a recessed outdoor space with a roof over your head, which is pretty amazing. And what's great about this building is it has all the amenities that you want, but it's not a mega 500 unit build. This is what I think is great. And you enter here on, this is entering in from Pacific Street. So it's a really very quiet type space. And, you know, the prices are very, very reasonable. This is towards the end of the project. And always, if you have a new development, I'm a big fan of going ahead and either want to buy at the very beginning or you want to buy at the very end of the development. This is towards the end. The other nice thing, and then I'm going to, hold on, my thing went crazy. Okay, the other nice thing about this is a lot of people, when you buy new development, you have to wait 1 year, 2 years until it's finished. You can move into these apartments the middle of April. Bang, bang, boom, no problem. So that's it. Ramses, do you have anything you want to share, or did you find something in the last few minutes?
No, I don't.
All right, fair enough. Well, then our next third Thursday thoughts, we'll have some more new properties. So thank you everybody for joining the Martin Eiden team with Alex, Super Broker Magoob, Ramses, Wonder Kid Haji, Adila. We got to get you a nickname.
Yeah.
Just fabulous. Right. And I always say Jared is the glue that holds us together, but we got to get a more catchy phrase than that as well. So thank you everybody, and we'll see you on our next third Thursday for our thoughts.